Hi everyone, this video is going to explain assessment task 3, which is the gamification activity presentation. So the aim of this assessment is to really explore the development phase of an innovation, really focus at the classroom level in terms of planning through a gamified activity. Now, I know gamification is not a new concept. It's gained a bit more momentum in the last 5 to 10 years. But we really want to extend upon this and develop an innovation further by really considering targeting this gamified activity to be able to be taught and experienced in a digitally supported remote learning environment. So you will need to focus on one of your specializations and choose at least one curriculum content descriptor, or if you're talking about year 11 and 12, a key knowledge or a key skill. And you're going to focus it on 1 year level. So choose 1 year level from 7 to 12 in one of your specializations. You must develop this activity and present it to your peers in the last section of this unit, who will provide you an evaluation to you based on the rubric. So it's going to be really ideal if your peers experience this activity for themselves. So instead of just explaining what to do, I would do this, really get them to immerse themselves in the activity, or at least part of the activity, to really gain a deep understanding of the gamified experience, to really immerse them in that experience. In your presentation, you need to complete a template to outline the task and the pedagogy behind. So let's have a look at the template, which is available on VUC. Give your gamified activity a name, a title. Tell us where the idea came from. So perhaps it's using an online source. Put the hyperlink or the reference here. Obviously, you might be developing it, from, where you're getting it from. So this is just like the source of the activity, where it stemmed from. What's your name? Your curriculum focus area and the target year levels, and this is cut and paste the content or the key knowledge and key skill descriptors here. So that's from your specialization. Now, this is going to be the flesh of the template. Now, be really concise here. We're happy for dot points, and you have a not too much to write here, but we want basically the evidence base, or why have you chosen this particular approach? Why have you chosen this particular resource or activity? So here you're going to connect your understandings of gamification, your own pedagogical understandings, and what pedagogy is connected to your specialization, as well as thinking about remote delivery. So you're going to have to connect to literature here. You're going to have to consider the ICT capability. Now, you've looked at this previously, so really thinking about how the task addresses the capability, not the fact that it's just an online, activity and that ticks off the box for ICT. Really delve in and consider perhaps which element are you addressing. And obviously the pedagogical model here. Okay, so here you'll have literature, here you'll have the pedagogical model referenced, and you'll put these references down the bottom. Dot points is fine, don't forget. Now, this bit here is really thinking about, well, how is it going to enrich the learning experience of the student? What is the point of doing this? Why would this work well with the age group that you've targeted? Year 9, for an example. And also discuss the limitations. A digital learning environment, is it accessible to all students, for an example? Here, you need to explain what the activity is. So what are you going to be doing? This is your class. This is, step by step, what would the activity, how would it be run? What would you be doing? Here, it needs to be in enough detail for another teacher to pick up and teach the activity. Okay, so it's almost like, you've been away, you ask them to do it, and they're fine to do it with the steps that you've provided to them. Okay. Now, going back to the activity and looking at the rubric, because this is what your peers will be evaluating you on, and also your tutors, you have some criteria here. So the handout, this is the template. It needs to be clear. It needs to have the pedagogy outlined, it needs to be connected to gamification. So how is it actually a gamification? It's not just a game, for an example. How have you actually thought about the elements of a gamification and the ICT capability? The appropriateness of the actual material and resources used. Is it really, age appropriate to, for an example, a Year 9 student? Have you really thought about how it's going to be applied in a classroom? Will it actually work? Student engagement, okay, so thinking about your middle years pedagogy or the senior years pedagogy and adolescent learning, catering to differentiation. Have you thought about those aspects to your activity to really engage each and every one of your students? Is it connected to the pedagogical model, and how? Planning and sequencing. So this is really thinking about how the activity flows. Are you providing scaffolding and differentiation? Are you thinking about the outcomes of your students connected to the pedagogical model, but also connected to curriculum here? All right. And also your presentation in terms of the class as well. Okay. So if your specialization is disability or student welfare, you might also like to focus on one of your other specializations for this task, or you may like to bring a focus of welfare, for an example, to your other specialization to provide another layer of support to the student. Additionally, you may wish to focus on VCAL, on one of the outcomes that you've already looked at, from either numeracy or literacy from assessment task 1 in the senior secondary unit. The choice is yours in this one. We hope you enjoy developing this task. We're excited to see what you come up with. And we hope that it helps you contextualize how a smaller innovation might develop within your classroom. Good luck.